Don't you know, many fighters have been killed by the Starfighter.
Like, I don't know. That's kind of an interesting idea, but like how important the image of fandom really is and how much it influences things. Because, Broly, we've talked about it before, he's basically a non-character. He's more about the image, he's more about the power. I think I've always kind of felt like Broly just represented the worst aspect of the Dragon Ball fandom, and it really just kind of any fandom, like, oh man, he's so cool, he's so powerful, he's the most powerful guy, he kicks so much ass. It's just like, and I guess, like you always said, like, the superficial stuff, is people get too attached to, like, for instance, like with One Punch Man, people got obsessed with the power stuff. Like, that is fun, but, like, maybe, alright, maybe you probably understand where I'm coming from, but, like, when it comes to, like, some of these shows, especially, like, Dragon Ball, yes, I grew up with it. Initially, I got addicted to all the power-ups and the over-the-top fighting. Yes, I'm not gonna lie, that's a big part of it, but, I like the characters, I like the story, I like the world, I like what they go through, and Broly just, as I get older, doesn't offer much more to me. Like a movie that isn't like canon anyway. I know that they brought it in the alternate universe, but it's just like, I don't care. I don't think that really improves it too much beyond what he is.
So, what was your question again? Because I kind of got lost in the...
just like the fan perception, basically, like how much input it really has, how much of a difference it makes. Like, for instance, there are some people that I find it hard to believe that there's this level of Dragon Ball acceptance now, as big as it is. I feel like there are a lot of people now that understand the series a lot better than they used to. So does a character like Broly, how is a character like Broly still really in the conversation?
Oh, like how is he still relevant, basically?
Yeah, exactly, like, with the nostalgia, you know what I mean? Like, why are people even like,
Well, the thing is, like, obviously Dragon Ball Super has been encouraging that character, which I'm actually surprised they didn't just straight up get Broly himself, and instead they had a different character.
Yeah, I don't get that. Like, it's obviously who they're referencing with that design through her. I mean, like, why not just go, okay, make him an actual canon character, and then okay, maybe that'll at least bring him further in. But I still consider him a side thing,
Yeah. Well, the thing is, at least with I can never remember the actual name of the character, so I just call her Bro Girly. That she's at least more of a character, but at the same time, I kind of don't like her from what she has presented, because it seems to imply that she might have a crush on her, or some sort of a notice me senpai thing with her sister. Well, I don't remember if that was actually her sister or not, but it kind of looks like if anyone that approaches her, she just gets really jealous or doesn't get her respect, then she gets mad, and then she hates Goku for that reason. So it's kind of better than the whole baby thing, but not by much.
Not by much, though. Oh man, the baby thing. Okay, I'll take a step back. Just a step back here. Okay, let me say. Okay, all right. People will think that I'm hating on Broly specifically. Okay, look.
No, we're hating all on Dragon Ball.
Look. Let me get this out, man. I kind of feel this way about a lot of things. The Broly movie was actually pretty decent. I actually think it's one of the better movies in terms of actual story. I actually think that it is cool for what it is. But the fandom around Broly just kind of makes him out to be something much bigger than he is, and it bypasses things like the Team 4-Star talked about. He has an interesting backstory there. There are elements of it, but I always thought his father was the more interesting villain for motivation, hating Vegeta, and all having that jealousy. But for Broly to focus in on Goku when he was a baby, when he couldn't have any real memory of it because he's an infant, it's like,
it's
even
a forced
for a show
connection.
like Dragon Ball, it's just so stupid.
Well, the thing is, it's a very forced connection, because his hatred should not be on Goku, but it should be like what his father's viewpoint, Vegeta, since he's the son of the father that was sent to kill him. The one he should the one he should be
Vegeta and Vegeta's family,
yeah, the one he should be hating is Vegeta himself, not that. And the thing is, well, you know what's a leftover idea, or not leftover idea, a missed potential of what direction the movie could have gone?
What?
and in a way of poetic karma, Paragus could have gone after Trunks. But
Yeah.
but at the same time, you don't know if Vegeta really cares by that point in the story.
Okay, well, we always knew that Vegeta kind of cared. He just can't show it because he's so manly.
He's Super Vegeta.
Ooh, actually, Super Vegeta. Super Vegeta. Actually, Hero, that reminds me of a question I wanted to ask you. Okay, that kind of relating to Vegeta being sort of a manly character. You've always kind of had this focus on masculinity in anime and the like classic manly hero, what that means.
Mm-hmm.
Now, typically, are the characters that you think are the best examples of this? Like, how does a character like Vegeta fit in? Because I think a lot of people would consider someone like him, a lot of the anti-heroes like him and Hiei, for instance, to be manly characters, perhaps, but they are kind of more assholey in that sense. They're more dickish.
The thing is, there's another manly person within the same group, because you got Piccolo, and in Hakusho you got Kuwabara.
True.
So they're sort of like at odds with each other.
Are they two different sides of the manly coin, so to speak? Where do they fit in?
Well, the thing is, like, it's sort of a strange blend between a very masculine character and the anti-hero role, and not also being the well, it doesn't make much sense for Hakusho for being the second lead, because, you know, Vegeta is the second lead in Dragon Ball, while Kuwabara's supposed to be the second lead of the Hakusho, at least in the beginning.
Well, I know that's the thing about Kuwabara is that it's kind of one of those things that I wish a lot of these shonen shows would do. Is sometimes they'll kind of defy expectations. That's one thing I guess Togashi's good at. Is, you know, Kuwabara is meant up, you're right, to be one of the rival characters, kind of fitting in that slot. You'd think he'd be side by side with Yusuke the whole time, but then he decides to kind of go a different direction for his character. And a lot of people, whenever they talk about who their favorite character is, because he wasn't there for that last little fight, you know, that last arc, I think a lot of people kind of push Kuwabara to the side simply because of that same shallow surface stuff about who's the most powerful guy.
Well, that's also because that the other characters, well, it's this weird combination of certain things. I was saying the masculinity in the second role, but you could also throw in the badass and edgy factor into them. So somehow I guess that gets a lot more people's attention because of their more on-screen presence, because, you know, Vegeta was like wrecking a lot of shit during Namek. And then, you know, boasting all this prowess with when he becomes a Super Saiyan, and then I am Super Vegeta.
So,
and with Hiei, you got the Dragon of the Darkness Flame.
Well, I guess, okay, well then, based upon your model, would you say those are examples of characters that kind of start off just more in that anti-hero role and become more like the manly hero?
I think Vegeta's gotten more into that manlier side, because of Dragon Ball Super.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you've seen him in a more fatherly way, and then, you know, everyone knows the story with the Battle of Gods, how he swallowed his pride, made a foolish performance of himself so he could spare everybody. So
and you know what? Thank you for bringing that up, because it's exactly what I was going to bring up next. Is, you know, some people really don't like that. They don't like what Vegeta's become, you know, because, you know, they liked him in the good old badass days when he was a villain. And don't get me wrong, I get that.
Yeah, but in those days, Vegeta was out for blood. He didn't care about anybody.
Yeah, it's not the same person. He's changed, and, you know, and to be honest, this is the thing people overlook. And there is some good writing in Dragon Ball for sure. Is that for a character like Vegeta, who originally would have not been able to hold his composure, and he would not hold his temper, he would just blow up the guy right in front of him and attack Beerus. No, he thinks about it, he realizes how much is at stake, and he says, what is the thing that I'm going to have to do that's the most ballsy? I'm just going to put my pride aside, and I'm going to dance. Do. You know what I mean? Interpretive dance. Like, that is awesome. That's growth.
Yeah. And then he's just too reserved in his emotions. Yeah, because he never really confesses that, you know, that he's like, Yukina, I'm your brother. You know, stuff like that.
He never really yeah, you're right. He never really grows past that. I mean, I guess he does a little bit, but he never really loses the whole icy exterior. I don't know.
He's never like too friendly with everybody, while Vegeta has a very noticeable change. and he's probably the best thing out of Super, with all honesty.
Yeah, his growth for sure. I like more of the focus on him. A lot of other characters, like, haven't been used quite as well. I mean, Gohan's kind of been a little bit better to some extent. He's stepped back a bit, but Krillin though, pissed off about Krillin. Come on, man, like, come on. He had like you're like knocking on the door of great moments, and then who's the first guy to get kicked out? Come on!
Yeah. And the thing is, like, we just want to clarify, we're not mad at the character himself, we're more mad about what direction they're taking the character in, because they're not letting him exceed the misconception of what Dragon Ball fans label Krillin as.
Oh no, and that's a problem that we've talked about a lot before, is the perceptions fans have of the show, defining what it really is and seeing past it. And that's one good thing, like Team 4 Star's done, is they kind of poke fun at that. But yeah, no, I mean, anybody knows anything about this and knows anything about me. I'm a huge Krillin fan. I love the character. He's a great character. He has shined a little more, but like, come on, like just, like, he got that like one filler episode that was kind of interesting, I guess. I don't know if it's really filler, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
the weird facing all his deaths and stuff.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Well, there's a lot of things we can break when it comes to like Dragon Ball myths and misconceptions, because I know Z has talked about that before, and I'm just gonna like spit my own take on it, because people always say, "Oh, Krillin always dies," and I'm like, "Yeah, so did everybody else."
I know, right? Why does everyone forget about everybody's died in Dragon Ball? Oh, actually, you know what? Got a really good Dragon Ball question for you, because it's something I've kind of thought about for years, but I've never really been able to exactly figure it out beyond like the basics. Let me see if you can help me.
What is this?
Okay, kind of going along with the death thing. Now we can agree Dragon Ball has an element of silliness. It's kind of escapist fiction, whatever. But one of the things that some people argue about with this and a lot of other shonen battle series is the fact that death really doesn't have a lot of meaning. So, how is it that a show has been able to go on this long and convince you of the stakes, even though we know that death really isn't that permanent usually, and especially if you're a good guy, we know what happens afterwards is not so bad. So, how do you think it is that Toriyama and everybody in Dragon Ball managed to kind of bypass that? Especially in a show where you literally have an out with the Dragon Balls. Because, I mean, I just want to say it because it's done really well, but I don't know if that really, surmises it in any way.
Well, there has been a lot of healing opportunities within the series. We had the Senzu Bean, we had Dende, and we had, I'm pretty sure, some other element I'm forgetting. And then obviously you got the Dragon Balls.
Oh, don't forget the tank with the healing tanks on Namek.
Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. There was those... I don't remember what they were called.
I think it's just healing. It's like a back tank from Star Wars.
I don't know. It's a thing that goes bop 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 when they're inside
for like 20 episodes while Goku's waiting. Oh
yeah.
God, guys, I gotta get there.
But I'm not healed yet. But I'll just chill.
Not for 20 more episodes.
No, I just want to. I got a free coupon to use this thing. I'm gonna use it. Take full advantage of it. But well, back to the question. To me to answer that, I'm also kind of curious if people kind of realize how many times death actually has occurred from within all of Dragon Ball, because you know what we were saying earlier with the whole Krillin always dies, and then I'm thinking, but by Krillin always dies, he technically only died twice on his own, and a third time where everybody else did, along with the whole fucking planet. They make it sound like if Krillin's like death is more of a defeat for the character rather than a dramatic element for the story.
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just a lot weaker, so it's scarier for him to go up against this thing. That's why a lot of people like him.
Yeah, well, what I meant is that, when Krillin was killed by Tambourine, it led to the whole Demon King Piccolo stuff, and Goku was like this very angry person that you didn't even see him when he was fighting against the Red Ribbon Army. It wasn't that mad. But this one was a personal revenge quest, and then... And the same thing happened.
You're right. The two major deaths for Krillin are big moments for the story for Goku at both times, actually.
Yeah, because with Frieza especially, it's just like that turns into a Super Saiyan. But I don't want to say that Krillin's death was important because Goku got a power up. No, Krillin's death was important because Goku was stricken with so much grief that he wanted to I want to say almost kill Frieza, but then, by the end of it, he just kind of like felt a little too merciful despite what happened. And I'm thinking, Goku, will you do the same thing for Piccolo?
Yeah, like, Piccolo dying, that sucks, but Krillin, I guess up until that point, though, Piccolo was still like, I mean, I guess he was a villain a little while ago, but Goku probably forgave him because, he trained my son.
I was talking about the other Piccolo.
Fine now.
No, I meant to the other Piccolo. Like, he wasn't merciful to Demon King, but he was merciful to Frieza. So I was like, wait a minute, are you sure you don't, are you sure you're alright about that?
That brings up another point, actually. Getting off, I don't want to get off too much with the deck thing, but speaking of which, early on, Goku killed everybody,
Yeah, because I still haven't answered your question, so that's why I don't want to get off topic with this. But yeah, like what you said there, that Goku did kill a lot of people in the Red Ribbon Army, and but yeah. So, anyways, getting back to the whole topic of like how do we, stay invested with Dragon Ball? Because I'm hoping that that people are actually into the story or the characters or the danger at stake, instead of like, oh, this villain can do this or that guy can do that type of mentality, or like, oh, Goku and Vegeta are gonna fuse, holy shit, stuff. I'm pretty sure that most of the fan base, especially in their youth, were more excited about the upcoming fights or what would happen rather than the what's at stake here. Because let me take this one step at a time, or maybe we'll find the answer together. Yeah, because with the whole death thing, all the major deaths started occurring during the Vegeta and Nappa upon their arrival. Well, I guess with Radix, because the main character died, guys. That's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah, because I think people may overlook that, especially if you start Dragon Ball Z from the beginning rather than from Dragon Ball to Z. You realize that a main character dying is not exactly a good thing to happen within the show, because that means danger is very, very close. Anyone can fucking die.
And nobody ever gives him crap about that, do they?
No, Goku died twice, man. What the hell?
Yeah, come on, guys.
Actually, I counted with Falcon in another podcast, and almost everyone has died at least twice. Chaozu has died 3 times with Krillin.
Yeah, well, Chaozu... I'm sorry, Chaozu... Why does nobody make fun of Chaozu? Like, I mean, people just, like... maybe they feel bad because he's so cute, but... Chaozu's... Okay, look, I like Chaozu
older than
a lot.
Piccolo.
I think he's a cool character. He's useless, though.
Well, I have different complaints about Dragon Ball Super that relates to, how... It basically sums up the Nappa versus Chaozu fight, and that's the problems I have with Super, but... Getting back to the earlier conversation... Where was I? Because I think one of the misconceptions of Krillin always loses is because they might have confused footage from the movies, because for whatever reason the early films had this running gag where Krillin does something and he just keeps getting shitted on. Yeah, because in Dead Zone he got pissed on. World's Strongest, he shows up like in this badass entrance only to get frozen right away, and then Tree of Might. Like, that was actually a badass moment. He was fighting this other guy, but then they just cut away into this other... They cut away. Lord Slug, he goes up to Lord Slug, gets punched, and then he makes a joke. Cooler's Revenge. Yeah, he only fights, like, Salsa and is beating up pretty quickly, if I remember correctly. And then Return of Cooler, he's the first one to attack the robots, gets smacked in the face, makes a joke about it. And then Super Ranger 13, which I think is the last one, where they're throwing like 3 or 4 different gags at him throughout the whole movie.
Just shit on completely.
Yeah, so I don't know what was up with that sense of comedy, and I think it's because of that people label him as, have this label on Krillin that he's a pathetic character. But in the actual canon...
But those aren't canon anyway.
Yeah, in the actual canon... Krillin was, the only one that was actually be able to go toe-to-toe with Dodoria, Zarbon, and Frieza in the Ginyu Force during, like, their hit-and runs episodes. And then I want to say that maybe...
if it wasn't for Krillin...
Yeah. Because I want to say maybe some of the hatred comes from the confusion of Krillin not killing 18, but we talked about this before. While it doesn't make sense why Krillin didn't press a switch at the time, it just makes more sense in the longer run. how they got together and all that, but at that given moment in time, why didn't he do it? It is because the relationship is not really established well at all.
Well, I mean, that definitely was not his best written moment. I think if there was any really weak moment for Krillin, more than him getting beaten up or defeated or killed, that's probably his weakest moment. Because even though he would eventually find her, it was only because of the plot that he did that. Otherwise, you just say, "Oh, it's a pretty girl," and even though the fate of the world's at stake, he's just gonna put everybody in danger.
And the difference is that they weren't actually killers; they were just kicking their asses.
Yeah, but you know how it is, man. I mean, it's one of those tough situations where they might not have been bad people, but you know.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they were aware of that at the time that they were kidnapped and turned into it. I don't remember.
Well, Krillin made a line. He was talking to Trunks. He's like, "Didn't you say that things were different? They're not the same. Maybe they don't deserve to die, kind of thing."
Yeah.
But that's still kind of pushing it a little bit.
I think I just remembered something else that they might shit on Krillin by the fandoms because of the whole Marin filler material, and then how later on he calls the daughter Marin, even though the whole purpose was it was a joke on the name.
Yeah,
so I think
that's
it's that.
Messed up.
Yeah, I think it's that because of a lot of confusion because the Marin character doesn't exist at all in the manga, so naming the daughter Marin is just perfectly normal in manga form, but in anime it just makes it look things a little questionable.
That was just kind of creepy. I never thought about. Yeah, that's right. He named it after his other girlfriend. That was like a bitch to him.
Yeah, so I don't know whether it's because of if people think Krillin's a loser because he lost that hot chick and then then again the chick dumped him.
Yeah, and she wasn't anything anyway, and he ended up with Andrew and 18. What are they talking about?
Yeah, no. Well, basically, Marrow's basically a hotter Bulma. That's the best way to put it.
Oh, that's ridiculous. You know, man. Look, people. Bulma's great, man. She got the brains and the. You know what? Hell, nobody likes Marin. That's nonsense. Who's a bigger Marin out there? If you're in the comments, come on. No, that's not a real thing. Nobody. What? Nobody cares enough about Marin for that. Come on. Hero, you killed me. You killed me. What the heck? No.
Well, I don't know if the Garlic Jr. saga had anything else to do with Krillin's activity, so I don't know what the fandom thinks. Maybe they just didn't think Krillin wasn't badass enough or did enough. But hey, if you've seen Dragon Ball and then all the way now, it's Krillin has gone places, man. That's well, I got a story to tell you. Marin, did I ever tell you the time that? Fuck. Did I ever tell you the time we went to a planet of aliens and I cut off an alien's tail?
Daddy, you're so cool. That's right.
That's right, baby.
By the way, I just want to say, I want to make it official. But in terms of cuteness, I think that his daughter might be the cutest thing in Dragon Ball. Yeah. She is so damn adorable. It's 18 without a nose. So cute.
Marin, did I ever tell you the time that I fought a stinky man in the tournament?
And then I realized I didn't have a nose, and then I won. What, Daddy? That seems like a bit of meta humor there. You kind of broke the fourth wall. Yeah, the writer likes to do that. Oh, yeah. No, that was great. Yeah, some of those early Dragon Ball fights are just fantastic.
Yeah. Marin, did I ever tell you the time I was actually almost tied with Goku in one fight? I could have been the strongest character.
Daddy. I remember that flashback in the anime. It was I remember, there was a time when I pulled that boulder a little further past Goku. Damn. I don't know. Not to get too much on power, but I feel like Krillin's what? Got what?
Actually,
2% of Goku's power or something.
I don't know. I just recognize something else that maybe the fandom might hate on him, but at the same time they could hate Goku for this too.
What's that?
Is that Marin, did I ever tell you the time that I almost killed Vegeta?
Hey, he only did that because Goku
that's why I don't know if the fandom hates Krillin for that, but if they do, they should hate Goku instead, but I don't know.
Well, Krillin, that was one of the scary moments, because Krillin's, that's what I mean.
Yeah, it was gonna straight up stab him.
Krillin's character is kind of inconsistent with 18, because he had no mercy. He's you know what, I'm gonna stab this guy. I'm gonna stab him to death. Hell with this guy.
Yeah, he killed Tien and Chiaotzu and Yamcha, man. And he...
No, but
fuck Piccolo, though.
Back to the original question, actually, it kind of circulates back here with Death kind of started to mean something more when the Saiyans came in, because you're right, Nappa kind of wiped out the whole cast, pretty much.
Yeah, he was doing everything on his own. Well, then again, also the violence was pretty brutal by that point, because in Demon King Piccolo and Red Ribbon Army, I actually remember Red Ribbon when Goku killed some of them, they were kind of killed kind of humorously, like you couldn't really tell they were dead or knocked out or something, but
Pops of smoke and stuff.
yeah. I mean, I remember even freaking. Technically, the villain that did like the most darker stuff first, pretty early, was Mercenary Tao Pai Pai.
That's true.
Yeah, because he killed I don't remember the guy's name, but Upa's dad. I don't remember the actual
Native American dude. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was a brutal kill. And then that also shows.
Didn't he like stab him with the spears?
Yeah, he stabbed him. He impaled him, right in front of the child.
Ooh, that's brutal. That's dark.
Yeah, and then Goku, even when Goku kills him, like he kills him with a grenade, and it's kind of humorously done. The way Mercenary Tao, well, he doesn't die at that point, but he could have stayed dead. But yeah, there was that.
Robo-Tao.
Yeah, then there was Demon King Piccolo when him wrecking all this shit, because obviously killing Krillin, that was a brutal death, like snapped the neck, and then he started murdering all these different martial artists, and then obviously the most catastrophic impact was where he blows up the city. And it was pretty much like the first time ever Dragon Ball did something that dangerous. And then again, he also killed Shenron. Well, that's something. So you know.
Yeah, that's kind of big.
Actually, yeah, the stakes were definitely high in that thing because characters couldn't really come back. Yeah, we didn't know. Yeah, we didn't know because even then Goku wasn't sure by the end of it. He had to go talk to Master Korin and then go to freaking. He met God of all people. Yeah. Goku, you need to go up to my roof and meet God. God's real? Yeah.
Dragon Ball does go a little over the top. That's true. So, you're right, man. Actually, it kind of brings up the question, make it a little more complicated, because some people would argue those early chapters were better because it didn't seem like you could just use the Dragon Balls to get out of it.
Yeah, they weren't abusable, because by that point, the very first wish that ever shown on screen was like, oh, I want some panties! And the second time was to revive Upa's father. And then the third time was... the third time was Demon King Piccolo with, I wish for immortality! And then at the end of it, it's like they had to go to God, and it's like, to Mr. Popo, like, Mr. Popo, can you fix this? Yeah, sure. It's like, that's it? Yeah, I just gotta put some glue on this statue, and it's all good. Then now we can fiddle with the lives of many people as many times as you want.
And that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah. Well, then again, I'm still surprised that people can't call Kami, the actual wording of God, or not even in the Spanish version. They don't call him Dios, which is, Spanish for God. They have to keep him Kami. Or Kami-sama. They never change it.
I think the answer to that's pretty easy is because, especially over here, people probably get sensitive about religious stuff. Like, they watch this cartoon and the parents are like, why is God depicted as like a green alien guy? That's not right. You're not watching this show anymore. But it's so cool. Nope, that's not true.
That's a blasphemous, son.
That's probably why.
Yeah, and then not to mention there's other gods as the series keeps going.
Yeah, it's not exactly a monotheistic show, is it?
There can only be one God, not in this series. Which God do you follow?
Like, start off with just like the only God, I guess Shenron's kind of like the closest one at first, and then you got Kami, and then you got King Kai, and now you got like 20 billion universes with different gods. It's definitely grown a bit more complicated in that sense.
Yeah, so moving on to the... because I'm trying to remember what Demon King Piccolo did because the only threat I can remember was him, like, holding Tien hostage and then, Goku getting hit by a rock. But, the real danger happened with Radix because, forced Goku to team up with the villain of the series, the son of the man he killed, freaking Piccolo Jr. Because remember, guys, at one point Piccolo was called Piccolo Jr.
Then he was Junior Daimyo.
Yeah, just like, And then, even God stepped down from up above to fight.
Yamcha.
Then Yamcha's life started spiraling downhill since that point.
Yeah, you can't really go up against God and never recover, I guess, in that show.
Yeah, well, even, now that I think about it, even Kami was, like, fucking OP, you know, given that point in time.
Oh, yeah, he was.
I am God. It's like, well, actually, it got pretty deep, too, because, I don't remember if it's a manga line or just the dub line, but the way they word it's still pretty good, where they say, like, Kami, why can't you do this? Because God cannot take his own life. So, yeah, so I'm thinking, do you mean that literally or metaphorically or all of it? Because...
Both!
Yeah. I mean, he can because as a god, I'm forbidden to do that too. And two, if I die, I could take Piccolo with me, but I don't have the balls to do that. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. He could have done that if he wanted to. I guess.
Yeah, he could have ended their lives, but he's like, nah, I can't. I don't know, but I don't know. It's because whether it's because he was afraid to do so, or two that he wasn't allowed to because it was a forbidden act or the ultimate sin. But then again. He was a pretty sinful... Well, Kami's a pretty serious character in all of Dragon Ball because, I mean, just the whole idea that, like, he had too much sins or too much... There was something in him that wasn't fitting for a god, and then he just tossed his evil out, and then because of that shit, he led to this dark age.
No, I mean, that's an example of a character that people probably don't care too much about, but Kami, I think, is one of the most interesting guys in the whole show.
Yeah, but then he disappears and we never hear from him again.
No, he's there. He's just, he becomes the nameless Namek, a.k.a. Kamikolo!
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah,
just call me Piccolo, damn it.
Yeah, remember Nail? Yeah, I don't remember him either. I mean...
I like Nail.
Well, the thing is, like, Piccolo is, like, from this point in Dragon Ball, you could almost forget. Yeah, remember Piccolo's actually a fusion of 3 characters? Like, he is the first fusion. Fuck you all.
No, Batman fusion was cool. I liked it when it was just a Namekian thing, man. I thought, oh, really? It was cooler. I thought it was more something about them that was really. Namekians are the coolest race, man. Like, I'm telling you, people might like Saiyans, but Namekians got all the cool shit, dude.
We're so manly, we don't have women.
Damn right. So manly, they don't have balls. They're just pure masculinity from nowhere, man. So wait, would you say Piccolo is the manliest? I thought Nail was pretty damn manly.
I don't know. I need to like rewatch Dragon Ball from the very beginning to the end, but I could see Piccolo being really up there though.
Well, if I remember correctly, I believe the thing about Nail that was really interesting is that, as you know, the Namekians were really peaceful people. They were all like farmers and stuff, but Nail was like the one guy that was like born to be the soldier.
Yeah.
You know, so he was the toughest guy.
And you know what else?
What?
Nail probably could have killed... Well, he couldn't kill Frieza, obviously, but maybe he could have taken down the whole Ginyu Force, Zarbon and Dodora. Maybe Zarbon... Yeah, he could have got rid of Zarbon and Dodora, you lazy fuck. Go out there and kill them. Protect your people.
No, yeah, Nail just kind of like, wanted to stand by the guru all the time with the Elder, and I guess... I don't know. We never really got an accurate gauge of his power. I kind of always felt like he might have been like on the Dodoria Zarbon level, but you're right. He did go stand against Frieza for a little while. So
yeah, I think he should have been able to
kill. He must have been pretty powerful because Piccolo, when infused in it, did boost his power a lot. Yeah,
so I think he should have been able to take care of that problem. But then there's Frieza's like, but Guru, what do I do when Frieza spots me? Run like a bitch now.
Run like a bitch. Super Kami Mega Ultra.
But getting back to the whole deaths that felt like the danger is that Saiyan Saga. I remember that. I know people gave Yamcha shit, but the thing is, like, come on, Yamcha was like Krillin was supposed to die in that scene, but Yamcha stepped in and then boom. And it's not like he lost the fight. It's not every day your opponent has an ability to fucking self-destruct and it actually works.
Yeah, no, that's unusual. No,
because when the good guys do it, it never works.
Man, when in doubt, just blow up, I guess.
Fucking shit. But yeah, so Yamcha's death. It got Krillin mad, and he started killing the. Well, the thing is supposed to show up with the threat of the Cyberman, how deadly they are. But then after that point, none of them tries to commit suicide bombing anymore. Yeah, but to me, the deaths that were more drastic was like the whole Tien and Chaozu because, well, like I said before, when a hero blows up, it doesn't work for shit. And then with Tien, like I thought it was just like so violent, where Nappa just punches his arm and it comes flying off.
Yeah, they die pretty brutally. That's true, and they were afraid people can get wished back, so they might never see people.
Yeah,
I don't know.
because then by the end of it, like Piccolo was the last one to die, and then that kind of settled the deal. It was like, well, fuck, we can't do anything. We can't do nothing this time because Kami's gone with him. It's not like the other time because Piccolo gave birth to Junior, and so Kami was still around, and then the Dragon Balls could still be used. But in this case, it's like, nope, there was nothing, and then sometimes like that, you kind of wonder if Toriyama actually planned things through, or he was just lucky when they mentioned the whole Namekian Dragon Balls.
Well, I mean, I guess that's one reason that they kind of kept pushing the tension with Death is because they got rid of the Dragon Balls, but then trying to have this whole other planet, a whole sci-fi element, introducing it, you didn't know how hard it was going to be to get the Dragon Balls, how they would work, figuring out how they would work. So I mean, I guess it was just the build-up of exchanging it to that point, because in the Frieza saga, it really peaked with a lot of the tension, because it was a whole new type of device. But after that point, I mean, I think it's after that point that the Dragon Balls really just kind of become fix the problem. Fix all the problems.
Yeah.
3 wishes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they all became magic genies. But,
They did.
yeah, because I remember during the Frieza stuff, Piccolo came back, but then everyone else was still getting fucked over. And right off the bat with Doria and Zarbon, they were killing elderly and the children and the elderly.
Mm-hmm. And we didn't know if they were going to get back. We didn't know anything about them.
Yeah, because Frieza was pretty much like ruining everything because Vegeta died, and that kind of like, take it as you will, whether you should feel anything for that guy by that point in the story, because he was just as bad as the other villains.
I don't know. I mean, watching it as a kid, I don't know. A lot of people liked Vegeta, and I guess he was one of the favorites. I felt pretty sad when he died as a kid, honestly, but I don't know if I should have. The way they
yeah, because
remember that dub change.
Oh yeah. Well, because I don't remember the wording, but I do know it was something on the lines of like, hey, Frieza, I work for Frieza, he forced my father and all this shit, but none of that's in the actual canon.
Yeah, that's not accurate.
Yeah. Also, even with that line, that doesn't really excuse him from what
doing
he was
all
doing.
That bad stuff.
Yeah, he killed a village of Namekians, man, and then he was only working with them just for his own benefit, to save his own skin. Because I mean, the best example of that is when he ditches Goku to die against Ginyu and Jace.
I remember the early dub for that's really great because literally they're just standing there. It's like, have fun, Kakarot. And then Goku's like, oh no. He's like, oh shit. And then I remember Vegeta's like, I'm a complete genius. I'm like, that wasn't that genius of a plan, just a bail dude, but whatever. He's a fucking ass.
Yeah, and then also like the whole, I need an adult moment.
Yeah, he really likes to abuse Gohan a lot.
It's what's funny about that? It is never followed up.
I mean, it kind of was when they fought each other, when everybody got wished back.
But they never. It never continued. Like Gohan, because it looked like at that point Gohan should hate Vegeta, but that hatred never came back.
Well, that's actually a good thing. You're right. Never really brought that up. I mean, Vegeta kind of stops really hating on Gohan, and Gohan's kind of like cool with Vegeta. Like, I feel like maybe he, I don't know, kind of tries to understand. Because remember in Namek, I mean, Vegeta saves Gohan a couple times too. So he's a young kid. Maybe he's like, maybe Vegeta's not so bad. Along those lines. Because remember, Krillin's pretty cool with Vegeta too. Afterwards, it's like, hey, Vegeta, how's it going? Need some help? Get away from me,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they should have cooperated or so easily like that, because I mean, given what happened with when he showed up with Nappa.
Yeah,
and what they were planning to do, because I mean, because even when Vegeta comes back to Earth during the whole android stuff, he was still a villain.
Yeah, but they kind of gave him a pass, I guess.
I don't know, because he was just a little too passive aggressive. Maybe that's the word for it. I don't know.
Just a tad.
Yeah, Because, I mean, the one scene that kind of verifies that is when Bulma gets shot down with a plane and doesn't go to save them at all. It wasn't until, like, Goku... Actually, all this change started to happen once Goku left the picture. So, anyways, back to the original question about how does the audience keep engaged within Dragon Ball? And that's, well, we already covered the whole Frieza stuff, because by that point, that's when Dragon Ball started to become a bit spammable. Because, I remember when they got Dende, they did some updates to the Dragon Ball, so I don't remember the exact specifics, how the wishes work. I think they had 2 wishes, and the Namekians had 3. And then, I forgot all the rules, I don't remember that, but, let me think. Well, actually, I think the danger started going down a bit. Well, it kind of went up and down, because with the whole android thing, with, Frieza returning, that certainly raised the threat level pretty high, but then it gets resolved so quickly because of Trunks. But then, then it goes back up again, because he tells her that there's going to be these androids that come from the future, that, I come from a devastated future, and these androids are going to ruin yours. Then it goes up, and then it goes higher when they realize those aren't the androids. What? But then it kind of goes down because the androids don't kill them, and they decide to leave, and then it goes back up again when Cell shows up. It's
very true.
Yeah, but no one really dies. I feel like the danger didn't really settle in, despite all of the Cell proclamation he was doing on the news that he was gonna, kill everyone. That it grew the moments where Goku sacrifices himself and then Cell shows up back and then Trunks gets shot. But then again, the tension was building a little bit because of the whole we can't detect their key, so we had to look for the androids. And then again with Cell, how he keeps hitting and run and killing people left and right.
That's true. I guess the writing was very different in terms of how the villain worked, so that was a completely different type of story, maybe.
Yeah, because it definitely involved a lot more tactics. Well, then again, there was already tactics in Namek because all the heroes had to, hide constantly.
Oh, yeah.
So, actually, it's a complete reversal. In the heroes, they had to hide, but this time it's the villains that are doing the hiding.
Huh. Yeah, you're kind of right, isn't it? Huh.
But none of that matters in the next arc. Yeah, we go to Boo, and well, we don't directly go to Boo. It starts off with a whole School Life, Great Saiyan Man stuff that a lot of people don't like.
I like that stuff. That's fine.
Yeah, well, Great Saiyan Man is fine itself, but having to see I don't know. Well, the point is, it felt like a different series with that entry point. And then when it goes back to the whole tournament, Goku comes back for a day, and then Spopovich and whatever the other guy's name was. Yamu? I don't even remember that. But, yeah, I guess the danger was raised because of... Actually, I'm thinking back because they did use the Dragon Balls to revive Trunks and all the people there. But, okay, so here, what new threat do we have? What makes this arc different from the rest? Because previously with Arjiro, we had a character from the Red Ribbon Army, androids, which was a new gimmick, and then the whole time traveling aspect. But this time around, we went back to the whole sorcery thing with having this legendary fiend that was made out of magic.
Well, I mean, it's just kind of another way of trying to make another villain more of an unbeatable tier, because this guy was virtually indestructible, and he was his villainy, I guess, was even more legendary than Frieza's because he was kind of like a secret. I mean, I think they kind of got around it a little bit because there were a lot of weird tonal shifts with Boo, because he could be really dark but also really goofy, within the same episode.
Yeah.
So maybe that was less of a distraction. I think it was kind of more of a joke at that point, except when it wasn't. You know what I mean? They bounced around a lot.
I think that's also I think that arc has a lot of negative reception among fans, even the ones who really love Dragon Ball.
Yeah, I think that's probably considered to be the least popular arc. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it. I mean, I've kind of come around on it a little bit, but I still think it's the weakest of the big three, or big four if you include Vegeta.
Yeah, because technically it should be the grandest in scale because it does escalate naturally. Well, it almost escalates naturally because from Demon King Piccolo to to the Saiyans, because a lot more main characters died. Then with Frieza, a whole planet actually got destroyed. But then with Cell, it kind of took a step back a bit since it wasn't a lava-filled battle and a countdown.
True.
And then with Boo, it should have. Well, I guess it went. It's kind of weird because with Cell goes down, but then with Boo it goes uphill, really uphill, because the whole planet Earth dies, and every character is dead.
Yeah, I mean, literally, it goes about as high as it can, which I guess I guess that works from a progressive story in that sense because you really are pushing it about as far as you can go, which might be another reason why Super might have some issues, but I mean, I guess that's why I always kind of liked the Cell arc and the androids because I guess technically, even though they're more powerful, it was a different kind of threat, and it's like the time travel is the more interesting, and it's kind of a down to earth story. Like it's more sort of a horror mystery kind of thing. So maybe in some ways it's kind of the least Dragon Ball Z esque of them, but you are right though. It's not as epic of a scale. Whereas Boo, you're right, it goes grand. Like, he starts to go around just blowing up planets like they're nothing, but it kind of gets so ridiculous at that point. Like, he seems unstoppable. So I guess it kind of works towards the end.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, because with the whole Bobby thing, you got a Vegeta turn to the bad side, which definitely, like, raised the stakes, and Dabura wasn't used too well, because the ones he takes out are Piccolo and Krillin.
Get shit on.
They get spit on.
Yeah, they do. They get spit on and turned to stone. Like, well, I guess they're not doing anything for this arc.
Yeah, or...
Damn it.
Yeah, they won't. Well, actually, no, Piccolo does. He does, with the whole Goten and Trunks training.
True.
Actually, Piccolo has It's kind of interesting how Piccolo just takes care of every single kid in this series.
Piccolo is basically just Goku's family's babysitter. He's just a babysitter.
I am Piccolo, also known as Mr. Nanny.
Exactly. Well, he is Batman.
He is Batman. Yeah. Yeah, cause...
Oh my god, Batman! Ah!
So, yeah, we got Piccolo. I mean, shit, no, I'm confused now. Okay, Gohan took out Dabura. Gohan took out Dabura. Okay, Dabura's ignored. And Babidi, I never liked Babidi, despite the... I don't know. It was interesting that they threw in magic, like after so long with his this creature that drained energy into unleash him, and then it kind of similar to the planet blowing up with Frieza. Like, this also provided a tension timer because of Goku and Vegeta fighting, and you're just waiting for this legendary creature to be unleashed that Supreme Kai is really hyping up as the most dangerous creature in existence.
Well, I mean, I guess, let me ask you, Hero. I kind of like Babidi. I think that his connection is interesting. He kind of serves the same function as Dr. Gero, but I've always kind of felt that Dr. Gero was a much better, mental villain than Babidi was. Why do you think that was? Is it the personal connection?
Well, despite Dr. Gero never appearing in the original Dragon Ball, I mean...
nah, he was there. Sure.
Well,
behind the scenes, he was the real guy.
Well, I think it's more creepier than the fact that I've been spying on you since the very beginning, like with these android bugs, and to just create a science experiment out of the DNA of all the different characters.
Mm-hmm,
So
it's pretty creepy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of creepy stuff, and the whole mad scientist approach with it, how he made all these machines that are capable of everything, and then again, when they showed up, it was a pretty violent scene with them killing these random people, and then Yamcha getting impaled like that.
You know what? I'm actually going to tell you something, Hero. There were a lot of really scary, violent moments in Dragon Ball, but I honestly think the darkest moment for me is that one you mentioned when 19 and 20 were just kind of going around the city, brutally murdering people, and that one scene where, like, Goku and everybody, they catch up to him after they, like, impale Yamcha, and they're like, oh, we gotta get him out of here, and the doctor was like, no need to do that. He's like, I will take care of it, and he just, like, literally just uses his I-beams to blow up, like, half the city, and then Goku punches him, and he's like, why'd you do that? What are you doing? And he's like, I just did what you asked, now there's no more innocence to worry about. I'm like, that is just cold, robotic evil. Like, that's like the evilest thing. It's more evil than Frieza because it's like, Frieza will laugh about it. Dr. Gero just doesn't care. He doesn't even think they're, like, worth his time. Like that's evil, dude.
Yeah, then the whole just their eyes as well, because they have these black pupils, these blank stares, and actually that's kind of what makes 17 and 18 and 16 like the down part of the arc, because they were not as despite being more powerful, they were nowhere near as threatening. And then not to mention with 16, who clearly wasn't a bad person despite the whole I want to kill Goku thing.
No, I mean, it was an interesting plot point that, like, the androids that they were supposed to be afraid of weren't really that bad. Like, you are right. They built up these two androids that were really evil, and then introduced them with ones that weren't really as big of a threat, and then all of a sudden there's Cell. I guess you could make the argument that that whole arc seems like it's just kind of filled with stuff that was just being made up at the spot, which it was, because of editing and stuff. But, but it's like, I think it's a very interesting because of it, but it's the most complicated, I think. Wait, there's these guys, there's actually this guy.
Yeah, because surprises keep popping up, because it all started with Trunks. I'm from the future, and then there's these androids. Oh, those weren't the real androids, and I came from a different future. What?
What? Shanked Trunks, man. Shanked him.
I shanked it with my tail needle dick thing. I don't know.
Oh god. Oh yeah, there's some disturbing imagery there. His
Cell was nasty.
Penis, vagina, freaking. Ugh.
I'm gonna absorb you, 18.
Oh man.
I'll create my own hentai.
Yeah. People. Cell's creepy. That's why I've always liked it, man. Cell is just he's a scary thing.
Yeah, but then once he transforms, all the scariness goes away.
He's like, he becomes a dumb guy, and then he becomes a really pompous guy. So Imperfect Cell is like the creepiest thing ever. But you're right.
The design
once again, it's kind of like the androids, man. It's kind of like a downgrade in a way.
Downgrade. Oh god, it's a very fitting term.
From a story point.
Yeah. Well, actually, it does make sense, because the first one was like. Yeah, you're right onto something, because in his first basic form, when he was weaker, he was actually more desperate for survival, so he's doing a lot more tactics and a lot more evil, gruesome things. As how many people he's killed. He's killed more people when he was weaker than when he was almighty and powerful.
Because he didn't feel he needed to. Yeah, he became more pompous. You're right. He was more of an animal. He was creepy. He was a monster. He fed on people. I mean, he literally fed on their bodies and their souls, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like. Yeah. Powering up and showing all like the people screaming from his ki. Like, that's some scary. I still think that's pretty scary, man. It
creepy. Is. Well, that's the thing. Just like dark stuff in Dragon Ball, but it's like dark for a little bit and then it just disappears, never to be seen again.
Yeah. Like, but there are like some little things like, oh god, that's really dark. Okay. It's still not that dark. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, you can never forget that sound effect. Whoop, go to whoop, go to whoop, go to whoop.
And that animation of the businessman just getting like dissolved and shrinking into something, like that is some horror, like
because even the imagery of just seeing people's clothes like everywhere in a ghost town.
Yeah, man. I mean that's scary. I mean that's good. Dragon Ball did horror pretty well with that arc for a while anyway.
Yeah, we're back on the android, so. Yeah, 19 and 20 should have been the main villains.
Well,
it should have just been 19, 20, and Cell. That was it. We didn't really need the other three.
Yeah, that's controversial.
Yeah, I know. But technically, they don't really play their roles as villains that well. I mean, they played it better in the whole Trunks timeline, but in this one, no. Well, then again, even in the Trunks timeline, I just don't like the fact that the biggest baddies of the planet that put the human race into near extinction were just guys playing a game.
Teenage delinquents?
Yeah, just teenage delinquents. Like.
Well, once again, you're right. It kind of scales back the power and the size of it all. Like, you go from demonic, super-powered alien emperor guy to teens.
Because even when because I remember the complaint with 1920s that they were just a fat guy and old guy, but admittedly, outside of their coldness, like 19 doesn't really offer much. But Gero, being the scientist that made all this shit possible, like he still holds up. But 19 was like, what can we do with 19? Like, unless they made him literally kill someone.
I mean, the thing about them, you're right. Oh, he almost did. He came closer to killing Goku than most people. That was a pretty creepy moment. So, I mean, I don't know.
But Merlin, remember the recycled animation in that fight?
Oh, yeah.
Even in Kai, it's still there.
Yeah.
Because I remember you told me, like, even in Kai, they still couldn't edit all that out.
No, they couldn't do it. They could not do it. But maybe they should have just made them more powerful, made 19 like a little more of a threat, and then made Jiro actually like more powerful, and then he gets defeated, and then Cell can come out when they think everything's safe.
Going back to the threat and danger of the question, 19 and 20 actually did a better job, and I just remember for another reason. Well, okay, remember the whole key thing that they couldn't detect them, and they started off already by attacking a city.
Yeah.
Remember the second thing that made them dangerous is the fact that they could absorb ki, and that's something that's never been seen in Dragon Ball before. Well, maybe Mr. Popo when he ate the Kamehameha, but yeah, no other character has been able to do that.
No, that was really interesting because you remember, like, they solved a lot of their problems by heck, I'm just going to use the big, powerful energy beam and take them out. You can't do that with these guys.
Yeah, and then the other androids don't have that. Instead, they have like limitless stamina, but technically 19 and 20 should have that also, given those cyborgs.
Yeah. And I don't know, man. I just think that the design of them seems more like, the cyborgs. They're kind of weird looking. 19's pale and very mechanical. They got the brains. They got the circuits. Like they seem more threatening in some ways because they're not what you'd expect.
Yeah, because even their outfits has a little more. Maybe military is not the right word, but it definitely looks like a uniform compared to the
some kind.
Yeah, what 17 and 18 are wearing. It's just like, I don't know. You could just think, oh, it's the anime version of Bride of Chucky. But even though they're brother and sister, but whatever. But yeah, maybe 1920 could have been the most. Maybe like take a drama on a different direction altogether. That could have been like the finale.
Oh, that would have been kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, because I mean, it did look like it was intended at some. Maybe it was intended at some point for them to be the last villains of the series.
Actually, they were. I remember there is like a list of it somewhere. Z probably knows where like I think, and the entire time he was writing, I think there were 6 points that he was supposed to have it ended. I believe it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, but I think it was that first arc where it was just him wear oolong wishes for panties because it wasn't supposed to be a long thing, and then it was like, okay, this is popular. I think it goes up to like maybe Demon King Piccolo or Junior, and then it was going to be Frieza, then it was going to be the androids, then it was going to be Cell, and then it was going to be Boo. So I think it was like 5 or 6 times that it was supposed to end, and the androids, the first 2 were them, and they changed them because of the design. And then they just decided to sell because I guess he realized he wasn't making very threatening things again. But okay, here's another question for you. Maybe this would make everything mean more in terms of tension. But in your opinion, to make Dragon Ball like the tightest series you could, what do you think the best ending point really would have been, in your opinion?
For some reason, I'm thinking of the ending of GT where the dragon just leaves.
That's not an option.
What the hell? That's not an option.
Not an option. GT is not canon. I don't care.
What the fuck?
No, you are right. The ending was good. Though. You're right.
Yeah. Well, to me, when it comes to certain shonen series, I always kind of like look for like the perfect arc for within each show.
Okay.
And in this one, like, because I'm trying to think, like, unlike other anime series or other shonen of current, there isn't an exact end goal compared to like something like, how Naruto, his end goal was a Hokage. Dragon Ball, it didn't start off with that. I'm gonna become this, or I wanna. I mean, they did say that they want to find the Dragon Balls, but they kind of, they found them many times already.
Time and time again, yeah.
Yeah, because what could be the ending of Dragon Ball, really? I mean, I kind of feel like the Kid Buu arc kind of did some of it because it did there needs to be an arc where everyone needs like a very satisfying fight, but obviously it also means that a lot of characters have to die at the end. And I feel that Gohan, like, if they're gonna continue that storyline where Gohan takes up the mantle, that to end it with that, where Gohan finally, Gohan sacrificing. There's no Goku. Let's put it this way: in this storyline that I'm thinking about, there's no Goku. Goku's dead. Like, he stays dead. Vegeta, maybe.
Well, when in your opinion, when do they die? Because I agree, Gohan should take the mantle, but when do you think they should have died?
I don't know. I'm trying to picture the story, like what would have happened after the Cell stuff, and like how would it be the proper sequel if it was with Boo or some other villain. I do feel that Gohan should have taken up the mantle and then maybe have another arc where Gohan has to die and then it's Goten's turn to take the mantle and then he gets older and then he has a kid of his own, or maybe Gohan has a kid of his own with Pan. It can go in either direction. Just keep the cycle going that way where the hero has to pass on to protect the other characters.
It's kind of like a JoJo sort of thing.
Yeah, I guess, just an endless cycle of good versus evil. Like, what they do with that within the arcs is pretty questionable, and especially you want to come up with new material to make things exciting, or new types of villains, or whatever, but I do feel like,
to be honest,
that would work.
That is one of the good things about GT, I guess, is they did offer some interesting villains.
Yeah, I mean, they also did the thing that I was mentioning with the whole, like, Goku grandson at the very end.
True.
But, yeah, I feel that there needs to be an arc where, like, the Dragon Balls aren't as spammed. Yeah, they really have to solve their own problems. But that's why I really like the ending of GT, where Shenron just decides, you know what, guys, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And Goku's coming with me, because the ending of the Cell stuff was that Goku was a good direction for Goku. I talked about this with Falcon the other week, actually, how that Goku knew that, hey, all these villains keep showing up because of me, so I gotta go, and I can't. Even when he did come back during the Boo stuff, he said that dead people can solve your problems. You gotta do it for yourself.
That's true.
So there's stuff that, and right there, it seemed the focus was gonna be Goten and Trunks to save the day because they were the only ones left. And then, Gohan was still alive when they found out later. So, it really felt that it needed to be focused on those characters, because if you look at the opening for the second half of Dragon Ball Z, you just see Gohan, Piccolo, Goten, Trunks, and Vegeta. Like, it's sort of like implying like those are the only ongoing characters we would follow, but it doesn't even go in that direction.
Well, I mean, we're kind of talking about one of the big ironic conundrums of Dragon Ball is that Goku, even though he is the main character and he is important to a degree and popular, he kind of becomes a detriment to his own show eventually.
Yeah, or when he's not, he just comes out as a dumbass.
Yeah, exactly. So, which is like Super a lot of the time. So, I agree. I mean, I know that maybe that was the original issue, and a lot of people disagree because Goku, he is that hero. It does follow him through most of it, but especially once you get to Z, that portion, it kind of builds Gohan up. I think it makes sense because Goku's arc by that point is kind of done because he learns to take more responsibility, and then it becomes Gohan's story completely. But then it kind of reverses when Goku comes back, and it still is that way, where it's like Goku feels like he's reverting in some ways, and I'm sure that's one of the issues with Super you probably noticed.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree, man. Gohan should have taken the mantle, and I still think, I mean, it wouldn't have been perfect, but I remember I talked about it with Z once a while back. Like, I really, really wish that when Gohan had gained his power and he came down, faced down Boo. I mean, maybe it didn't have to be that big curb stomping smackdown, but just that final fight between the two of them when he's like, I'm not here to stop you. I'm here to kill you. Like, Gohan's ready. He's not afraid anymore. He's owning it. I'm a badass. I'm the warrior. I'm the superhero. Let's go. That was good. Like, that would have been good. And then he gets eaten, and I'm like...
Yeah, because it's the perfect ending to both Gohan, and then it could have been the good finale for the series itself, because you have Gohan taking up the mantle of his father, even dressing like him, and that's something he never did in anything before. Well, maybe except when they're putting the Saiyan armor for training, but this is more personable and symbolic of that transition.
Totally.
And then it just fails on it by like, oh, Boo has another form. And now he could absorb people because he didn't do that earlier.
Yeah, I know, right? Like, well, that's why I think the Boo saga frustrates people more than others.
It comes out of nowhere too. If you think about it, like it turns out I can absorb people.
I was like, 'cause Cell could do that, and that was cool.
Yeah. So in retrospective, like the Boo arc could have ended in a completely different way.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, because I remember thinking that if people were able to read Dragon Ball, like let's say on that weekly basis, like the way they read everything else, they would have hated the direction. They probably would have considered the ending of Dragon Ball Z like one of the worst things ever.
Yeah, I think you're right. If it was a more modern manga and if people like talked about it weekly like they do now, I think Dragon Ball would probably not be loved as fondly, to be honest.
Yeah, they would go back and say like Dragon Ball Z, oh, there's like, especially read Dragon Ball all the way to Z, like, oh yeah, there's like a lot of cool stuff in it, but the ending is shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say the ending shit, but it's definitely kind of lackluster.
It's like it does everything well for all the other characters. Well, I say almost every other character, but then I'm thinking I'm not sure about Yamcha and Tien. And Master
yeah, I mean,
Roshi
they start
sort
off
of
being
like
major and get pushed off quite a bit. You're right.
yeah, I don't feel Master Roshi had a proper send off either compared to the other stuff.
Well, they're all getting second chances in Super, I guess.
Yeah. Oh god,
No.
you would not believe what they did with Roshi in this recent episode.
Nah, I'm a little behind. I know there's a big deal with him. Should you tell me, or should I just find out for myself?
No, I'll tell you because I wanted to share with you.
All right, everybody.
Let's
see how I react to this. What did you do?
Well, okay. So a few weeks back, you must have heard about Roshi causing some buzz. Well, in this fight, I was actually curious myself because I wasn't caught up to Super at that point. I was a few episodes behind. But then when I caught up, because the word on the street was that, oh yeah, this was a really good episode. And then I remember Z saying like, oh, this was a terrible episode. And, I kind of leaned more towards Z because he's, more objective about
Hardcore?
this. Well, that too, but about Dragon Ball. So I watched the episode for myself, and I could say this episode was shit. I don't know why people are really praising it as good because last week's episode, well, I say last week's, like a few days ago episode, actually makes it makes the wrongdoings of it even more apparent.
Okay, tell me.
Okay, so the episode, what happened with Master Roshi, he fought 3 different opponents, one at a time, but when people were saying, oh yeah, he's doing all these tribute through all the things he's done in the original Dragon Ball, but yeah, it would have been a good tribute if he did it in fucking order. But he doesn't, because the very first thing is that he buffs up to intimidate this other girl character. So, like, that was the first thing Roshi did. He, like, intimidated somebody, when he turned to do the Kamehameha to, take out the fire of the castle. And the second thing he does is the evil containment wave, which should have been reserved for the very end of the episode, not in the fucking middle. Because he uses it against this other character in order to suck her up, and then, throw her out of the ring. So, naturally, if you're using the evil containment wave, that should have done something to your health or to your spirit.
Yeah.
So, but he just kind of walks it off like nothing's happening, and then the third person, that's where all the trouble comes in, because he fights this character whose name I don't remember, or just so throwaway, is that his power was that, oh, as time passes, he gets more powerful, which is vague as fuck of how... So Roshi was struggling with this, but the dumbest moment happens when Goku is there, fighting this other person, and he's not even transformed, by the way. He's just like regular black-haired Goku, like how he always was. So Goku's fighting, he's and he's like concerned for Master Roshi, and he's like so stuck in his fight as if he couldn't escape from it at any point. So he's struggling and all this shit, and Master Roshi beats the guy, and he looked like he was going to die, but then now, when Roshi's gonna like hit the floor, Goku decides, oh, I'll turn blue now to go to his side. When he could have done that at any point or instant transmission. He could have done anything. And then Goku does the unthinkable.
What?
Goku revives Master Roshi exactly the same way as Dragon Ball Evolution.
By shooting?
By shooting ki energy into his chest. Not a Kamehameha, but he did shoot energy into his chest to bring Master Roshi back. And the whole episode is thinking this episode would have meaning if Master Roshi actually died, but he didn't. And guess what happened a few days ago in Super?
No, what now?
Well, before that, there was a whole episode of Tien, Piccolo, and Gohan being sniped by this other guy, but it was not a good episode of Hunter x Hunter. Let's put it that way.
Oh man, they all got. Oh man.
They're still in there. Well, except Tien. Tien got shitted on.
Of course he fucking did.
Yeah. So, anyways, the most recent episode with Master Roshi. Oh, this time Master Roshi's getting hit by Frost, and it looks like he's going to die because he does the evil containment wave 2 times in that fucking episode. The first one failed against Frost because he messed up his aiming. He couldn't keep him the bottle. And then Frost takes the bottle, so Master Roshi busts out another bottle to try to evil contain wave like that robot from that other arc, from the tournament. And then Frost jumps in the middle, does a reverse evil containment wave, and tries to suck in Vegeta in it, which he does. But then Master Roshi's like, oh, I'm so tired, and then he does one little tiny ki blast to break the bottle so he can set Vegeta free. And then Vegeta saves Master Roshi's life. Meanwhile, Goku is stuck fighting some other person, which he could have done the same shit again, turn blue into transmission to Master Roshi's side, whatever. But this time, they really make it seem like, oh, Master Roshi's gonna die, but then no, we gave him a sensu beam, but he's out of the tournament now. So I'm like, it was just a stupid episode, really.
Sounds like it's all over the damn place.
Yeah, because I'm wondering how people are feeling now. 2 weeks ago, they were praising the hell out of that episode, and then now it's like you basically got the same thing, but it's not done well either.
I mean, the only time Goku ever did that kind of shit was in the movies, where they just say, hey, we can transform, but we're obviously just building it up, to pace things out. Maybe they don't want to reserve their energy, but so Goku is base level, and he just immediately, what? That's pointless.
Yeah, it's pointless. It's just that I don't know, the way whenever they think of good ideas to do for some dramatic tension, it always falls flat, and that's the reason why Super, which is the answer to our question now, because what does Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball do better than Super when it comes to dramatic tension? No one has fucking died yet or gotten in real stakes. I mean, yeah, with the whole tournament and with if you want to include the whole God of Destruction Beerus, all tension went away the moment he threw the little piece of Earth, because I destroyed Earth, now we shall go, Whis. And then basically you could bait him with food, to get him on his good side. So all that tension is gone. And then with Resurrection F, yeah, Piccolo got shot, and I think he quote-unquote died in Super, but, we'll just get to Namek and get those Dragon Balls instead. And then also, the moment where the tension could have built up, it's all reversed, because, Whis, oh, I can reverse time for a few seconds. So don't mess up this time, Goku.
The Dragon Balls are kind of bad enough themselves, but, the fact that they're making up other things now, it's like they're pushing the envelope even more at that, to the point where, you can't even have tension within a short film like that,
Yeah, and then the tension with the whole, Universe 7, Universe 6 tournament was the whole that, we're gonna move planet Earth somewhere else, which doesn't really specify the dangers, what if if they were implying that if the Earth gets sent to another point in another galaxy, it would just cause it to implode on itself or something like that, but no, there's no real danger. Yeah, we see characters get their asses kicked, but by that point, and, they could just spam Dragon... Admittedly, they only use the Dragon Balls to find out about the Super Dragon Balls, but even then, the idea that there is Super Dragon Balls that can grant anything, which... Technically, the stakes should be... Yeah, well, the stakes got higher with the Zama's arc with Goku Black. But even then, I just didn't like the idea how the characters were able to, get the fuck out of there with time traveling, easily, without worrying about Goku Black chasing them or going to them. They just basically had to get out of jail free cards a lot in that arc, and then now we go to this current arc with Super, where even the tournament rules state, oh, you cannot kill characters. Otherwise, you'll be disqualified, and then.
Yeah, I mean they're upping the ante, but
Yeah,
somehow the stakes are less.
Ironically, despite the characters being more powerful than ever, and having so many people in one location, enemies on all sides, nothing really bad has happened other than that character got shitted on. Oh, whoopie-doo. No improvement here.
Yeah, same old, same old. That's my biggest issue. Is I think there are a lot of good ideas, but it really mostly just feels like kind of underdeveloped fan fiction.
Super
Like
plays it too safe.
Yeah, Dragon Ball safe. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah. There is no tension.
No.
What danger
tension.
is there? Because I'm trying to think. Have all the villains done something? Managed to kill? Actually, yeah. Now that I think about it, the only time a new villain managed to kill a character was Goku Black killing future Bulma.
That's true.
Yeah, well, then technically everybody did die in Trunks' universe, but even then it was, I don't know, it didn't feel right, especially with the, maybe because there was a certain woman character having a relationship with another character that made me kind of feel like distracted throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, it's very, very possible.
Yeah, it's like, I don't think that makes any sense.
No.
But I don't know, there was some stuff going, to be honest, I don't remember too much about the Zama's arc, even though that should be like a pinnacle of Super, but I just don't remember.
I mean, it was interesting, but you're right. It feels like it's kind of forgotten.
Yeah, because it should be more interesting because of the whole bringing it back to the whole god aesthetic, something we don't really explore, the Supreme Kais, and then judging humanity. That no, we must watch over them and guide them. We can't interfere, but then it just doesn't go right.
No, they definitely touch on bigger things for sure. I mean, there are some interesting thematic elements with some of the side characters, like the different worlds, but they never really go that deep, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm trying to. Yeah, because from what I remember, all the other villains have done something else to show their evilness and the danger. Because Dodoria and Zarbon, they kill people. Nappa shows up, he kills people. Radix shows up, he kills main character and kidnaps the child. Tears off Piccolo's arm, and then before that we had Demon King Piccolo, who killed Krillin and then went on a manhunt. And Reverend Army, I mean, you saw the people being oppressed already with Snow in her village and the whole Muscle Tower incident, and then obviously with Mercenary Tao. So, yeah, it really comes down to that maybe the different factor is that Dragon Ball Super, the story is too centered on themselves and not the villains actually attacking the civilians or the populace of the world. Because they clearly shown that in the other ones. They don't really feel heroic. I guess that's the best way to put it. Because it's too direct with each other. And
True.
that and it's kind of repeating too much of itself. Because Battle of the Gods was new, but then Resurrection F, it's like that Frieza saga, that time when Frieza and King Cold came, but this time done differently. And then it's like the future Trunks arc, only if it was it wasn't the androids, but a different villain. And now we got the tournament. It's like that tournament we had in this series earlier, but just much bigger.
Yeah, you're right. They're basically just recycling old arcs at this point.
Yeah. I thought this podcast was gonna be about about the fatigue of being a YouTuber and how we're trying to rekindle our spirits, but now it's just become the typical Dragon Ball rant.